God is still good, amen?
Amen.
Yes, He is. Yes, He is. Well, I went and preached for my dad's church for probably the very last time I'll probably ever do that. Been doing it for years. And so it was kind of emotional, but my dad became pastor emeritus last Sunday, which means basically retired. Still helping out, doing some small things, helping the new preacher and all that kind of stuff. But it was good. Had a good crowd. Had a lot of people coming in from out of town and stuff. It was really neat to get to be a part of that. And so it's good that I got guys here like Joe and Jim and Daniel and some of you other folks that just step up and help. I hear you did a great job. You always do a good job, so I'm just really appreciated and thankful for that. It's good that I can leave, amen? I mean, it's good that I don't feel like I have to stay here all the time and things are going to fall apart. It's good to know that, that I can step out and things will just go right on. People say that's a sign of a good leader, so hopefully I can do that later. So, well, we got Ryan coming today, so Ryan wants to come on up. Ryan's going to give us testimony today. And do you need this whole thing here, or can I leave my book here? Okay, I'm just going to leave it here, okay. This is Ryan, my future son-in-law. As of a couple of weeks ago, so anyway, Ryan, we love you, and we look forward to hearing what you got to say.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ryan Garcia. As he said, I'm about to be part of their family. I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for this church. You guys have opened me with welcome arms. I appreciate it. I'm from Odessa, Texas, where our pastor's from. Same area. West Texas. I run the soundboard here. I skateboard, I'm into cars. I'm engaged to Katie. A little bit of my background. I come from a single family home. My mom and my sister are here. Thank you for coming. My parents split up around 2008 during the recession. My mom was pregnant with my sister, and that wasn't an easy thing. I praise her for all the things that she's done for me and my sister. It's not easy. To all the mothers here, you're appreciated, loved. All the men in your life, we really appreciate and love you for all the things you do. But that divorce made me angry. And I had to put that anger towards someone, so I put it toward my father. And my relationship with my father at the time was he would see me every other weekend until eventually he didn't see me at all. I quit sports, I started skateboarding, I grew my hair out. He was very proud of that. I never felt really accepted by my father at the time. So that's what made me kind of not want to spend much time put a pin in that. The same goes for my heavenly father. When I was young and started skateboarding, I found a Bible study at the skate park that was hosted by Rob Bremerman and Bosa Lindsay. They both live in Odessa, Texas. And, they welcomed me, and that Bible study was really good for me at a young age. But prior to meeting them, being a skateboarder, I was kicked out of church. I attended a church, I attended a youth group, and by the time we got to the age to go into the chapel, the pastor looked at me and my friend and told us we didn't belong there. So that was the end of me trying to find anything until I found them. little bit. I got into my teen years, and I eventually broke away from them as well. And I had lost my faith for 10 years. And I put that blame on God, all the things I'd been through, I put that all on God. I blamed him. So like, why did he do this stuff to me and my mother? Why did he do this stuff in my life? Why this, why that? And when I turned 18, I got a tattoo on my shoulder that said why. Just of anger. I went from having that weekly relationship with God to not having it at all, just like my worldly father. So, like I said, I fell away from the faith for about 10 years. At 17, 18, I slipped into drugs and alcohol. Started with smoking weed, popping pills. My senior year of high school. I started to try to find validation in women, jumping from relationship to relationship, just trying to fill that God-shaped hole. Nothing ever worked out. All those relationships that didn't work out, I also put that up. Eventually I went to college. I got into another relationship that lasted 5 years, to the point where I almost proposed. But that ended up working out. I had no purpose. I had no drive, no nothing. And there was things on both sides that just didn't allow that to work out. And I lost everything. Like 2020. And eventually that brought me here. I had to move back in with my mother, which I thank her for taking me in. She always has. She's always had my back. Moved here, got a job at 600 Degrees, the pizza boy. In that place, I worked myself to death. My drug addiction was still pretty rampant and it got worse. I started doing harder things. I started to become suicidal. I started doing more pills, cocaine, drinking every night. Back to the suicide thing. One instance, there was one day that I just had it, and I was gonna do it. I drove home and like, today is the day. And to be a little bit graphic, I was just gonna close my garage door and let my car run. But something told me to go inside, and I did. And to my surprise, there was a note in my bed, and my room was clean. My sister wrote it. She was saying she loved me, and she saved my life that night. God has a way of tying a string around you, letting you float to the edge of the earth until they finally jerks you back. Now, close one at a time. But even with that tug, I still wasn't ready for it. I just continued on my way. I was getting into arguments with my mother's boyfriend at the time. Just in a dark place. My sister described it as I had this gloss over my eyes. Like, they were just black. No emotion, nothing. No real aim for anything. My relationship with my parents at this point was, my mom was scared. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know why I was feeling this way. My father, same thing. But at this point, he didn't judge me for it. He was there for me. My mom was there for me. They wanted to put me in different homes to help me out. Luckily, I didn't have to do any of that. And as the snowball keeps going, 2 years ago, I had an overdose. I got home from work that night and started taking and doing anything that I had until it felt like I was having a heart attack. And at the time, my mom and I were out of town, and there was no one there to help me, so I called a friend of mine, and they picked me up. I basically freaked out that whole night. The only way I can describe it is, it was like my soul was like fighting to like leave my body. It's just like this, like all the power in my chest was just leaving, and trying to fight to stay here. And I pleaded with God, like, let me live. I won't do this stuff ever again. And luckily, I got through that night. A couple nights later, I had a dream about a man I used to work for at another pizza place. His name was Garcia. He's passed away. I still remember him every day. In the dream, he visited me. He checked up on me, and he had this beautiful pizza place. And if anyone knows what the pizza pills are, the wooden things with the pizzas into the oven, but he had one of those on the wall, and they had my name on it. And it was like, he had like a glow to him. He was, the only way I can describe it is, he was an angel. And from that point on, I kind of vowed to be like him. He was a man of his community. He provided for all the people around him. He was just an all-around good guy. And the same goes for Rob and Bo. I want to be like them. I don't want to do the stuff I'm doing now. So I got off drugs. I stopped drinking as much. And that next month, I met Katie. We dated for about 2 months. In February, I asked her to be my girlfriend. She had stipulations. She said that the church was important to her, and God was important to her, and if we were going to be together, then I would need to walk that path. At first, yeah. But at this point, I still didn't believe in God. All this stuff that happened to me, I was just like, it's whatever, it's all coincidence. And then she eventually brought me to this church, and I started going to the Bible studies on every other Monday, our real life group. And the first story was the prodigal son, which I love. For those of you who know, it's about a guy coming back to his father. My favorite story now too. I took Katie to Odessa to meet my father for the first time. And this trip was the first time my father told me he was proud of me. Where he told me that I looked happy. We go to leave, and like the story says the father sacrificed a fat calf. Our fat calf was McDonald's. So we go to McDonald's and we're leaving and we're having a conversation with Dad. And like the story says, Luke 15, verse 24, for this son of mine was dead and then alive again. He was lost and was found. So did my father. My father looked at Katie and thanked her. He said, I've got my son back. And that's where I knew that there was a God. There was no way all these things had happened. There was no heard that story like a week prior to go see my father and tell me the same thing. It changed my life. And now my relationship with my family, my father, is the best it's ever been. From that point on, I got deeper into the church. I got a soundboard. I got baptized. My father got to baptize, which was it's cool. I just try to follow in the footsteps of Jesus. Got baptized. I started Bible study with some of the kids from 600. And now I'm engaged. It's wild. And then just through all this, the last 2 years, I've really felt God's grace for me and everyone around me. Rachel, some of you know her, she's no longer here at this church, but in that Bible study, I didn't know what that grace was. All this stuff had happened, and I still had this, hate in my heart for myself. And I didn't have any grace for myself. And Rachel kind of slapped me in the face and was like, look around, there's all these kids that saw you, do all this stuff. They saw you, do drugs in front of them, drink in front of them. I was still a leader, but I was hurting myself in front of them. And they're all looking at me, wide eyes, and like, all these kids have grace for you. Why don't you have grace for you? I wish she was here so I could tell her thank you. So now it's, like I said, I'm engaged. Just following the footsteps of Jesus, trying to make this Bible study bigger, be more involved in the church. And that's where I am now. It's a blessing, it truly is. I encourage any of you, if you know anyone that's going through kind of the same things, on drugs, suicide, or anything like that, reach out. I'll give you my number if you need it. Again, to all the women in the room, all the mothers, thank you for your struggles. Thank you for everything. To the church, thank you for allowing me to be up here. Thank you for letting me tell my story. This is my first time, so have some grace on me. It's a little all over the place. But hopefully I get better at this. I know I will. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you to everyone.
That's good. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so very much. It's important to have a dad. See how important it is to have a dad? Some of us don't have that. Some of us have never had that. Glad your dad came around. And you see how close we were to not having Ryan around here, how close it became. And us dads, we got such an important role to be leaders, to be men of God. So you have to, talking about grace, talking about prayer and stuff. God is still in the life-changing business. I mean, He is. God gives us grace, and if we don't give ourselves grace or give other people grace, what are we, when we do that, what are we saying? We're saying, I think we're better than God. And you know what? You have to forgive yourself. I mean, we'll all probably agree, yeah, God has forgiveness. God forgives us. There is forgiveness from God. But you got to forgive yourself too. You have to give yourself grace. You have to forgive yourself. I had a boxing buddy in the gym with me in Fort Worth when I was at this Fort Worth stable there, and his name was Dennis Butler, 6'8", 270 pounds, no fat. This guy was solid rock, tough guy, heavyweight, super heavyweight, big old guy. My ministry had already begun. I was in boxing. You kind of wonder why. You think, how could God use boxing to minister to people? God will use you anywhere you are. This guy, Dennis Butler, was having marital problems. Had a lot of difficulties in his life, a lot of struggles in his life. And he was so big that, remember, this is the time, if anybody remember Refrigerator Perry? Remember that? Chicago Bears? Well, the refrigerator name was already taken, so we, instead of calling him Refrigerator, we called him Dennis Icebox Butler. That was his boxing name. Because he's so big. But God was using me in ministry even then. I remember we went into the locker room one day after practice. And he began to open up to me about his struggles, about the problems he was having. He was saying, he said, you know, I really, really messed up. He said, I cheated on my wife. And he said, we were separated. He said, it's been a few months now. He said, my wife has forgiven me. My little girl wants me to come home, but I just can't. I can't believe what I've done, and I can't forgive myself. And that day I said, what you're telling me is you're better than God. He said, what do you mean? I said, does God forgive you of your sin? He said, yeah. I said, then who are you to not forgive yourself? You're saying I'm better than God. And to make a long story short, the guy went home to his wife that day after boxing practice, believe that, in a stinky, sweaty locker room of an environment. There is room for forgiveness. There is grace. There is mercy. And we're thankful for Ryan, what God's doing in his life. I mean, I was there where he is right now. At one point, a lot of us have been to places like dark places like that. Thank God, he just keeps pulling on us. Amen. Keeps drawing us to Him. And we're thankful that you're still around. We're thankful for your mom. She's a good mom to you. Your sister's a good sister and a good boxer. She will knock your lights out. And but Ryan will probably very, very soon begin ministering to the youth here at the church. We got plans for him. And got plans for some of you other folks too.